Mundial de COD Mobile está de volta com o estágio 4. São as classificatórias regionais começando exatamente agora. Fique ligado com a gente enquanto os melhores times ao redor do mundo batalham por uma chance de ganhar um prêmio de mais de 2 milhões de dólares. Além da segunda vaga, é claro, na etapa final do Campeonato Mundial. Após 3 estágios exaustivos de gameplay competitiva, cada um desses times e jogadores estão devidamente testados e prontos para fazerem tremer os solos dos mapas enquanto lutam por glória nas chaves de eliminação dupla dessa classificatória. Vença e avance a próxima rodada. Perca e faça uma visitinha na chave dos perdedores. Perca outra vez e você estará eliminado. Só o melhor dos melhores vai ganhar uma vaga na última etapa, as finais do Campeonato Mundial. São 40 times em 5 regiões, é a competição de COD Mobile mais monstrenga e feroz do planeta, meu amigo. No fim, quem vai prevalecer? Descubra aqui e agora com o nosso Campeonato Mundial de COD Mobile ao vivaço para vocês.
Welcome everybody to day number 2 of the PUBG Mobile World Championships 2021. My name's Turnip and I'll be hosting today's games alongside my good friend Austin. Austin, day number 2 of the Latin America Regional Playoffs. We're about to decide who takes the region.
Out to decide, Brody. Championship Sunday. This is what we live for. This is what we love about Call of Duty. And today we're going to get a good look at what our 3rd seed is going to be here for this region. So I'm ecstatic, man. We had some crazy plays, some crazy games, some upsets. I mean, we had it all yesterday. So, I mean, who knows what's going to happen here on day 2?
Yep, we have 4 teams remaining before we get into who those teams are and really what the bracket looks like in its current state. Let's take a look at the schedule for today. These are the matches we're going to kick things off with. So we're going to be starting, Austin, with that match that you're so excited for, the losers bracket semi-final. That is going to be deciding who will be joining Full House Gaming and Skate in the 2021 World Championships as Latin America teams. That's going to be Cygnus Esports versus Godsend. And then, of course, we'll be deciding who makes it to the grand final from the winners bracket, Full House Gaming versus Skate. Austin, I am so excited for these matches.
I am too. I mean, we got to see Cygnus Esports yesterday. They're our #1 seed coming into the playoffs here. And overall, you know, they ended up losing in the semifinal matchup in reverse sweep fashion, round 11. I mean, literally going the absolute distance. So the fact that they falter and drop down to this lower bracket and now need to make a run just like they did in the qualifier, I mean, they might find themselves, you know, close to home based off what happened there. But overall, they do need to get a lot of work done, and they got to get through Godsend here first, which is looking like another top contender.
Yep, let's take a look then at the bracket, show how everybody has made their runs to Sunday throughout yesterday's bracket. We'll start off with the winners bracket here then. Of course, Full House Gaming, or Full House Esports, I mean, they made that run through the 3-1 victory against last year's champions and Influence Rage, but that 3-2 reverse sweep, the one that blew our tiny minds here, Austin, on the desk, versus Cygnus Esports, that was the match of the day for me yesterday. Of course, they'll be joining Skade in the winners bracket final. Skade, I would say, had a much easier run. Arguably, they shouldn't have dropped a map yesterday. They did versus Godsend in that semi-final, but it was that first map, Austin. It was a comeback from Godsend in the closing moments of the game. But Skade are looking good, they're looking scary, they're looking threatening, and that's going to be an awesome match between them and Full House Gaming. Let's take a look then at the lower bracket, Austin, to show everybody at home what our teams look like today.
Yeah, as through the lower bracket, we can obviously see a couple of teams dropping down in that first round. RWR, Influence Rage, those were our champions from last year here, coming from this region in the playoffs. They end up losing out here, getting double FR'd, which is something we wouldn't really normally expect, right? And then, of course, we get Godsend that go up against RWR. Easy 3-0 there for them. They look pretty convincing in that matchup. And then Cygnus Gaming and Loops Esports, that was a really fun one. Cygnus Gaming got it tested on a few of those maps, but were able to pull through. And then we meet ourselves in the semifinals, where it's Godsend and Cygnus Gaming. This is the qualifying spot. Whoever wins this matchup, of course, moving on to Worlds, also having a chance to also move back up to that upper bracket in the grand final.
Yep, and let's just give everybody a refresh refresher at home as to what the prize pool split looks like. Of course, there is a 2 million plus prize pool going on for the entirety of the Call of Duty Mobile 2021 World Championship. 50,000 of that has been allocated to the Latin America regional players. We've already given away a solid amount of that through 50 versus 8, but today it's all about the top 4 teams that have made it to that placement already. You can see their first place walks away with $15,000, Austin. And of course, I think most importantly here, and I guess we'll have a larger conversation about this in a moment, the fact that the top 3 teams, they walk away with a spot in the World Championships.
That, and they're going to be fighting for seeding today as well. I mean, just about every single team that wants to, make it towards the Worlds. Like, once you qualify the spot, it's like, okay, now let's worry about getting that first seed if we possibly can, so that you have the best possible matchups going into those startup matches in the World Finals. So, I mean, there's a lot of the line, man. Like, this is really pressuring. Day one, we were like, all right, what teams are going to be able to make it through? Half of our teams are gone, and now we're going in towards what is going to be, just 3 more. One's getting eliminated. It's going to be an absolute heartbreaker if it happens again, because we go back to the qualifier, Brody, and Cygnus and Godsend actually played against each other in the lower bracket, and it was Cygnus that ended up pulling up the win, sending them home in 5th and 6th place, and then they, of course, moved all the way into that lower bracket like we've been talking about, end up going to the grand finals and pulled off two best-of-5 wins in Game 5 fashion. So they might be able to do it again, but on that other hand, maybe Godsend have what it takes to be able to pull up the dub here and, upset these guys. They've had a lot of time to be able to study over the games yesterday, and who knows what they might have for us on day 2 on Championship Sunday.
Yeah, that's the thing for me, right? And that's what makes this next match so interesting, is the fact you have 2 teams in very different positions. Austin, of course, you talk about Cygnus Esports, a team that arguably shouldn't even really be here, right? The fact that they're going up against Godsend, and also a team that shouldn't be here. But 2 teams in this position that are very different paths in terms of Cygnus, number 1 seed coming into the regional playoffs. Should they even be in the lower bracket? They were upset versus Full House Gaming. They're going to be frustrated that even happened, because they were 2-0 up. That's a reverse sweep. We love those kind of games. They certainly did not. But for Godsend, it has been a shaky path. But still, you're pretty content with Godsend, right? You come in at the number 6 seed over the regional playoffs. You make your way all the way to the final 4, and now you're in the qualification match, Austin. So really interesting to see the 2 different paths that these 2 teams are taking to this point. Before we get into talk about that match and really in depth about what we kind of expect from the loser bracket semi-final, let's talk about the Sony's Xperia 1 Mark III. None of it this weekend would be possible without that gorgeous smartphone, of course. 120 Hz refresh rate. I know we kind of bang on about that, but it's so awesome as a feature for this kind of smartphone.
Well, it's also just so important. You want to give yourself the best tactical advantage when you're talking about playing at the highest level here at COD Mobile. And if you're looking at competing, looking at trying to rise up, this is the phone, right? Like, it has precision touch. It's got a very nice wide screen so that you're able to capture a lot with your FOV. Absolutely beautiful here for us, Brody. A very, very nice cell phone that you got to get yourself into, because it is just perfect for COD Mobile.
Yep, it absolutely is. And let's take a look then at the Sony's Xperia 1 Mark III phone a little bit more in depth. Sony's Xperia is the official smartphone of the Call of Duty Mobile World Championships 2021. Absolutely check it out if you're interested in getting it. Got an awesome smartphone to play Call of Duty Mobile. Absolutely, that's the best way. Now, Austin, let's talk about this game that we have on our hands. It is going to be an epic battle, of course. The stakes could not be higher. Not only are you fighting for a place in the lower bracket final, a place to stay alive here in the regional playoffs, but also a spot in the World Championship.
There's so much on the line. Like, I can only imagine what it was like trying to go to sleep as these players last night, knowing that you got one more match, and this determines whether or not you continue to go on throughout the year or if your year actually ends right there. So I mean, that's high pressure, right? But that's what we're here for, and that's what the players, love doing what they do. So, I mean, that really should set it all for as far as what we're about to have. It's going to be a clash between both of these guys, and they've already played against each other before. So that's why I think things are going to be a little bit interesting, because it's like, all right, we didn't really get to see the whole full-on series score when they did play in the qualifier. We just know that Cygnus Esports ended up winning it. So it's hard to say how close it really was. Now, the one takeaway that we have is that Godsend was looking really strong in the respawn. Cygnus Esports, I would say, was pretty well-rounded across the board. So for us, as we start to look at it, I mean, really, what do they have prepared for the respawns? What are we going to get coming into it? Who's going to be able to actually step up and go big? Because there was a number of players that really were able to do that there for us on both of these teams throughout the entire day on day one.
Yep, for sure. We have our series layout ready to show you guys the map set of what's going to come between Godsend and Cygnus Esports. And it is actually an interesting affair, so if we can stay on this for a little bit, we can kind of discuss maybe a breakdown of what is ahead of us. So we're going to kick things off with standoff hardpoint. Now, this is kind of an interesting thing for Cygnus Esports. It is by far and away a map that they wanted in the map pool for this series. They're currently 3 on it yesterday on standoff hardpoint. So that is absolutely their map. It should be an opener that they'll enjoy there. Of course, then we go to fire and range, search and destroy for map number 2, and raid domination for map number 3. We haven't seen either of these maps from Cygnus Esports or Godsend all weekend long just yet, so it should be interesting to see who's able to take those. When we go to take off hardpoint though, Austin, that is kind of like the ante of what we saw earlier on with standoff hardpoint with Cygnus Esports, because it's actually Godsend who are 3-0 on take off hardpoint this weekend. And then of course, Summit, Search and Destroy, again, just like Fire and Range, just like Raid, we haven't seen these guys on that map just yet. So we have this situation here, Austin, where the hard points, we've seen both of these teams, they each have their strengths when it comes to the standoff and the takeoff respectively. But when it comes to that fire and range, that raid, that summit, or that search and destroy and the domination, it is going to be, we have no knowledge. We don't know what's going on, Austin.
Yeah, I mean, it should be interesting because Cygnus Esports, played standoff yesterday and actually won it, I believe it was 150 to 60. It looked pretty convincing while they were doing it against Full House in the map number 1. It really set the tone for us. And then they went to the map 2, and then that's when things got interesting as well, because they went up 5-1. And the one thing that we've known about the Cygnus Esports squad is that sometimes they go up, they have a really good start, but they let up on the gas pedal a little bit. I think that's something that they really have to make sure that they're on top of today, because you give a little bit of room to a team like Godsend. We saw the comeback on skate. Remember the raid hard point from yesterday, the 150 to 148, Brody? I mean, that came down to the wire, and it came down to a last-second break. So if you give this Godsend team just a little bit of breathing room and give them an opportunity to try and break you in the final moments of the game, sometimes they clutch up, and that was against the number 2 seed. Now, of course, they're playing against the number 1 seed. We know they're capable of doing it against high-caliber squads. They can do it here again, so it should be interesting to see how that actually plays out here for us against a very good respawn team as well here for Cygnus Esports.
Yeah, I have to admit, from what we saw yesterday, I'm a little bit maybe concerned for Godsend here in this series, and the reason I say that is because I don't think so far they've come up against any team that's really properly challenged them. I think that's the first time that they did was skate in winners round 2. And, despite that hard point, despite that raid hard point, obviously you and I were completely mind-blown about the closing moments of the game, massive comeback. The rest of the series, it was effectively a bloodbath. They kind of skate. So a little bit concerned for Godsend here, but
all right away, Mihawk. This is the player you got to watch for Godsend. He's so explosive, and already he's opened up on Cygnus Esports to move back through. But Mihawk, he is still on a tear. 3-0 start for him, and finally will be shut down by.
They're spawning across the map, so Godsend can effectively just cut the map in this current position. Make sure that Cygnus continue to spawn on that side of the map. They don't get to say. This is a little bit early on, maybe to say this, but we're kind of getting an inkling here of why Godsend is so good on this map.
Winning out on gunfights at the moment. This could be the first one, and there it is. Tatillo, one of the players you also have to watch out for the Cygnus roster. He's finding these kills.
Joko with an important gunfight against Tio on the back lines. Tio's going to go for it. Of course, so you've got Cygnus Esports going to be spawning out to the bottom side of your mini-map. They just keep on coming. Godsend, do they have the power to really need to move? They can just sit there, continue to contest that time, but it is going to be Noel who goes up to deal with them in the last 20 seconds of time. You never want to let this happen. A game can snowball out of control. Let specialists and Cygnus go.
Quebra trator. O da roda. Tem âncora? Âncora. Tô pelo tanque. Pegando. E o próximo já tem. Vai lá. Segundo feto, tira a cara. Ele vem close, vem bolinhas. Boa. Quebrando, roubou. Cola contra. Tem um Predator, relaxa. Vou quebrar o Predator. Boa.
Time over towards the Grandma's hard point for Cygnus Esports. They needed that to get back in the game, and there was a moment there.
Bring in the shots on the stairs with the death machine. That was enough to really get rid of it. But overall, a very close game. Cygnus Esports, they get themselves 10 points or so. We look at the rotation to Dillo and the kill feed. He's just found himself a 3-piece, and it looks like Cygnus.
Meatball and Noel try to make their way through. Cygnus Esports doing a solid job, and Noel from the top ropes. Did you see that, Austin? Oh my God. Take the lead in this game. Look at this positioning from Tatio. He's just an annoyance right now for this Godsend roster. Going to turn around in this game. It's been Austin.
Oh, truly. I mean, they got themselves the lead, maybe even going to get, some of this time, but as they're doing a good job of, one, getting time off of P1, they got 30 seconds, and then two, made an excellent rotation into green. Now, you have to rain on in. They're going to be down just a few points, but this Goliath might be enough to play the difference, and we'll see if they can maybe get inside, but the Predator missile.
There in the contest spot, Noel at the bottom. Not really much you can do until your reinforcements come on through the alleyway. Jets, oh! The Envoy and Meatball up there, up there, ready to get these kills. It is just a not time that Godsend can give away, and give it away they will not. Noel and Dudu combine for 3, they want this.
But you got to find the kills, and that's a big one, because that might be a spawn out. We'll see what ends up happening here. A Goliath maybe also coming. The death machine comes in, but it's not in time. A big moment for Godsend, and now we can see them making their way to the point.
Tio trying to make his way into the alley. It's not to be. Godsend, they have the Goliath inside. It is just will win game number 1 for Godsend. An important map victory as well. It's down to Godsend and the bloody Goliath.
The Goliath, man. How many did we get that map? Like 3, 4,
yeah,
I feel like? We got quite a gain. But I called out Mihawk at the beginning of that hard point, and I said, listen, this is a kid that you got to watch for here. Goliath on the final rotation. You think if that's stolen away and Mihawk ends up going down to that death machine challenge, then they're able to steal that Goliath for themselves. They the whole weekend. They get that first map to kick off this best of 5.
Oh, what a start. What a start to us. Slip a little bit as we look over towards our Xperia rewind time record for the replay. And yeah, you kind of look at the victory. It was what? That rotation from P2 over towards P3 of Godsend to get the majority of time on P3 also, P4 also, sorry. Very important rotation.
So, right, I mean, we saw the Predator missile come through with the back of green that stopped one of the ones there for Cygnus Esports. So we pull up our map set here, and we can maybe take a look to see exactly what else that we have. But a firing range coming up for us in the map number 2. Yesterday on in that firing range, and then they let up on the gas a little bit. They let their opponents kind of see they're not that strong of an S&D team. This was, by far their worst game mode throughout the entire day. They are a respawn team. Maybe this is one that you feel like you also need, considering that there's still 2 more respawns left in the best of 5.
One thing I will say, yesterday when it comes to firing ranges, it is quite offensively sided again, just down to the fact that unless you have somebody effectively ever so slightly offensively sided, and we saw Cygnus yesterday, they actually started on the offense. Is kind of why they were enough, and they took that hard point, right? You cannot understate that. That is a massive, massive win, because in terms of the unknowns for them, yet another upset happened. And for Cygnus Esports, this would be sad, and then of course, they come in as the number 1, but nonetheless, they were the number 1 seed, and they take that this first full house game. To lose here versus Godsend, it would be
place. They were still keeping things close. It came down to around 11, so you can't count these guys out. But you really want to plant going off, and it looks like that will be the case. And now you got to play a retake, and you only got to remember to do so if you're Godsend.
But no, Dudu's actually going to win that fight. Almost gets the second as well onto Cheeto. Dudu's all on his lonesome, and for Envoy and Just here, with 15 seconds left, this one should be done.
Yeah, you gotta get aggressive if you're me. Brody, a 1v2 in the final seconds. Not gonna happen, but man,
was pretty close, so I was a little bit concerned there. We're gonna see a little Xperia rewind time.
Maybe even half a second. You see this
yes.
clock at the top there, right? Very, but all right, it's the round to start, but Dudu, he's been able to find his way through for a kill. It will be quickly traded. Tillo will make sure that he's not gonna play his life as there's a man advantage for Godsend.
Shorty sniper combination has just been so deadly for people in from behind. I think the fact that they know he's here now is causing Cygnus quite a few problems. It's like we kind of want to move up. Lonesome, he is boxed in.
He sure is, isn't he? He's even getting sprayed to the wall. He's like, I'm just trying. Doesn't to build the map, getting inside of wood. I mean, 2 players were able to do it. Mihawk there with the big kill to create the man advantage. A bit of a change up. That bomb looks like it's working its way down the path in the upper side of the map here. So a B push could.
Well, thought about it for a second. He thought about getting a little bit over. I think that play for the moment, but I suppose the aggression is enough. That is a problem. Arauco takes down Just, and now for
with and Cygnus mean, if they can just funnel their numbers into one side of the map here, it'd be great. But up top there, Dudu not going to be able to find the kill. And, well, that's pretty key. You lose another member if you're Cygnus Esports, and this round won't connect. We'll also see another kill go back over. So now in a 4 versus 3, low on time.
On this angle, he sees the laser sight. There's one. Envoy down. There's 2 from Joker.
Joker, man. I mean, there has just been so many crazy sniper plays throughout the weekend, and I'm sure Cygnus Esports aren't catching any fire, not getting anything going, and the #1 seed now really feeling the pressure. They played the line, just let themselves give up on the gas a little bit, where they're dropping the bomb in the middle of the map. They're not making pushes to get down to about 1:20. It just seems like they are totally okay with playing these initial rounds very passively, but Brody, sooner or later, you have to make sure you're doing...
In a great position here once again. Cygnus Esports, their own opportunities, and here we go. I think they're going to listen to me, or they're probably going to make a decision themselves about my things.
That's the question. Joker, though, I mean, he's so hot with the scope right now. If I'm anyone on Cygnus, I do not want to give this guy a peek. And he's one here. Chance for a quick scope! Oh, it's a highlight reel. Phase up. I don't know.
It's like a snipers only game for PUBG Mobile. I absolutely love that, man. I mean, the plays we're seeing at the moment from both of these squads down just as well. It is Meeple with a shotty now. You know what? It just giving these one-shot kills. God sent everything is looking up for them. They find themselves in a 5 versus.
I mean, this has just been so defensively favored after that first initial round. I mean, they're just hesitating a 2v5, and if there's going to be a player to do it, then Turnip would have to find some angles. You can see him get at, maybe get some kind of a sound cue, maybe get some kind of a call out. I didn't even see him on his screen, but waiting patiently was Noel.
Look through, it's a little gap so we can see the feet, players, the legs. They can just have to get past the bison of Dudu. And I spoke too soon, Austin. It was possible, not probable. 4-1 now to God too strong. Way too impressive for Cygnus to actually be able to handle.
I mean, you get a chance for a bomb plant here. You got 2 players, though, from Cygnus Esports that might be able to find some X.
Apparently very ready. The Hulkers are in full effect. Tio and his teammate able to get these kills. Kim Wax 3, sorry, I don't believe he's going to be able to do that much. Impressive. Our Cygnus on the retake. And I'll tell you what, one versus 3, sorry, I don't believe he's going to be able to do that much. Impressive. Our Cygnus.
Kimwax just went ham. Like, he just found 4 kills and he even got a piece of the 5th. Like, yeah, it's just about picks up every single one of his kills in that one. That is going to be a very nice momentum round for the side of Cygnus Esports. Rounds in a row. Now with the change up, it was pure aggression over to A from Godsend. This time, Joker's going to eat a bit of damage, but is able to keep his life.
That hasn't been the plan at all. And now we find ourselves in a very different situation where Godsend are in a position that's making their way towards A.
Oh, I think something was certainly calmed here. You can see everyone making a rotation.